This is the week where Xbox proves everyone wrong. What is up, y'all? I am Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. That is right, the latest news, rumors, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. Now let's get something out of the way first. Yes, I am wearing a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt. Yes, I know they are trash. I've been watching them my whole life. It has been nothing but heartbreak. We don't gotta talk about it. So instead, let's talk about that Xbox stuff. This week is shaping up to be a really strong one for Xbox, and in today's video, we're gonna be discussing the new look PC Xbox app and some great news regarding some of Xbox's most important first-party titles like Indiana Jones and Call of Duty. So it's no secret that Xbox has been wanting to grow their presence on PC. The general consensus is that the home console market has pretty much reached its peak. The number of people who buy an Xbox, a PlayStation, a Nintendo Switch, collectively that number is pretty much going to remain the same, leaving Xbox in a very interesting position. If they can't rely on explosive console growth anymore, what can they do? Well, they seem to think the answer is by growing their presence on PC and also through cloud gaming. There's only one problem though. Historically, Xbox, their PC presence has generally not been received well, especially the Xbox app for PC. My buddy Jimmy, who is primarily a PC gamer, a Steam gamer, whatever you want to call those guys, he is constantly complaining about the PC for Xbox app, the clunkiness, how slow it is, how games seem to run worse through the Xbox launcher. But to give credit where credit is due, Xbox seems to have been working on that, and they just provided us with another update that's being tested out by Xbox insiders. The Xbox Wire is billing it as a new home experience for the Xbox app, geared specifically to make it easier and faster to find your next favorite game. They say our goal is to create a unified home experience that combines the best and latest content from both Game Pass and Microsoft Store tabs, so you can easily find what you love without having to jump between tabs. Honestly, that is a great line of thinking. I like the logic there. I was pleasantly surprised when I opened up my Xbox app on my PC to see a lot of these features that they're talking about in this article. I don't remember signing up for the PC Insiders build, but hey, I'll take it. So let's check it out together. They now have a new layout for featured content, where you can stay up to date on exciting game releases, new events, content available with Game Pass sales, and more. They have a tab for deals and discounts. They have curated collections. So Xbox will now serve up some titles, some suggestions for you to play based on your prior gaming experience. And I don't have access to this, but in compact mode, they're adding in a jump back in section, which looks to be pretty much like quick resume on consoles. Obviously vastly different layout, but they're hitting the same points, the same notes that you would if you opened up your Steam page. Here's what's trending, here's what's on sale, here's what just released, here's what your friends are playing if you want to buy the game and jump in with them. I understand why they're doing it, because Black Ops 6 just released and they're trying to feed it out to as many people as possible. But I'm playing Black Ops 6. I'm enjoying it. We'll talk more about that later in the video. I don't know if this is possible or not, but Xbox, they should find a way to, they should be able to analyze whether a person has downloaded a certain game, whether they bought it or they downloaded it through Game Pass, and then, basically have them on a checklist. Like, okay, that guy downloaded Black Ops 6, and it looks like from his recent data that he's playing it a lot. Maybe we shouldn't flood his feed with a bunch of Call of Duty advertisements. Okay, sure, I didn't buy the Vault Edition or any of the premium upgrades yet, so I understand why they're feeding me that, but there's gotta be a better way. I'm like a top tier Xbox customer. I buy a lot of games on Xbox, yes, buy them. In addition to paying for Game Pass Ultimate, I should be rewarded in some way by seeing, fewer ads, both on console and on PC. I will give them props though, because they seem to be pretty tuned in to what I play on PC versus console, because when I look at the curated section, what they're suggesting for me to play, it's a lot of like RTS games, a couple of shooters, and that's pretty much exclusively what I play on the Xbox app for PC. So good job there. They seem to be pretty tuned in to what I want between platforms. Speaking of Call of Duty, there was a lot of questions going into the release of Black Ops 6 specifically. There were a lot of firsts with this game. It's the first time they're putting in omnidirectional movement. You'll be able to sprint in whatever direction, dive and slide in whatever direction that you want. It's the first time that a Call of Duty game is going to be put on Game Pass. It's the first time a Call of Duty game has been available through cloud streaming. All of those firsts led to a lot of questions on how this game was going to sell. Was Microsoft's call to put Call of Duty onto Game Pass going to diminish the monetary value a franchise like that usually commands? And I get it. Why pay full price for the game when you can just play it through a subscription like Game Pass? And while questions about Microsoft's handling of Call of Duty still remain, the Game Pass gamble specifically seems to be paying off for them. Over on Steam, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is the #1 seller, despite the fact that it is clearly on PC Game Pass. For this brief moment in time, it seems like Xbox can have their cake and eat it too. They can have Call of Duty on Game Pass, which in turn generates a surge of new players, while also commanding a decent amount of sales. That might be underselling it though, because apparently Satya Nadella was on a quarterly earnings call talking about Microsoft's gaming division, and he called the launch of Black Ops 6 the most successful in Call of Duty history, which is crazy to think about considering how many games are in that franchise. He said they set a new record for day one players and Game Pass subscriber ads on launch day. Now, it's pretty standard for Microsoft and for Xbox leadership to talk about player engagement and Game Pass subs ever since they stopped reporting sales. But they're still seeing strong sales, like a 60% year-over-year increase on both PC and PlayStation 5. And we're not just talking about, like a little spike in player engagement in Call of Duty. No, we're talking historic numbers. Like well over half of all Xbox owners in the United States. Via Games Radar, according to Circana's player engagement tracker on October 23rd, 19% of US active Xbox Series players and 18% of US active PlayStation 5 players launched Call of Duty HQ. That was how many people were playing Call of Duty or otherwise interacting with the Call of Duty hub before the launch of Black Ops 6. On October 28th, 52% of active Xbox Series players and 34% of active PlayStation 5 players did so. Both were all-time highs for Call of Duty HQ. Matt Piscatella goes on to remark, over half of all daily active players on a platform playing one game is bonkers engagement, especially when the previous mark was like 34% of Xbox players were all playing Call of Duty. You gotta be feeling really great about this if you're the team at Xbox or Microsoft, feeling real validated that you went through all of that trouble, all of that legal stuff with the FTC and the CMA in order to acquire Activision Blizzard in the first place. There was a lot of chatter about how Microsoft, how Xbox was going to run Call of Duty into the ground. It was going to be doo-doo ever since they took over. And so far, fan response and the data is proving that rhetoric wrong. And even before the launch of Black Ops 6, Microsoft's gaming division saw another increase in software and games revenue. That was accompanied by a dip in hardware sales yet again. So now I feel like Xbox can go a couple of different ways. Number one, they look at this data and they say, well, our most successful stuff is multi-platform. Let's make all of our games multi-platform like Call of Duty. Or they say, listen, Call of Duty is making a ton of money. That's our cash cow. Let's just ride that wave for Call of Duty, and then our other smaller first-party games, they can remain exclusive to Xbox. That's probably not how it's going to shake out, considering what we've been hearing over the past year or so. But we'll see. There have been some reports saying that physical sales of Black Ops 6 are down in the United Kingdom, and the working theory is that it's because of Game Pass. The fact that it's specifically physical copies of Black Ops 6 is telling to me, though. I can't say for sure how it is on other platforms. I imagine it's very similar to what we see on Xbox, but the majority of sales these days, for better or for worse, are digital. A 10% drop in an already small percentage of sales isn't super worrying if you're Xbox. The real lesson to take away from this, though, if you're Microsoft, if you're Xbox, if you're any platform holder, is that, well, the game is actually good. I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm not really a Call of Duty guy. I hop in and out every now and then into Warzone or Modern Warfare 3 last year, but I haven't really gotten serious about a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare back in the 360 days. I was a little afraid because I remember when Black Ops 2 came out, I was playing with my friend and I was just absolutely terrible. I felt awful, discouraged. I didn't feel interested to try and get good at the game. And with all this omnidirectional movement and the time that I've missed in this franchise over the past decade, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna log on and it's gonna be terrible. But I'm having a really good time in multiplayer specifically. I've played a little bit of the campaign and that's pretty solid and people generally seem to be liking it. Haven't played zombies yet. I've mostly been playing multiplayer. I stayed up until like 2 a.m. the other night playing with my friends, and I haven't done that in a long time. It felt great. This is the game that convinced me that I need to play every shooter with headphones because they did a great job with the audio. Hearing someone's footsteps as they try to rush behind you and use you as a human shield, but it's like, nope, I heard you in my headphones, buddy. I'm turning around. Ba 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 ba. Not today. So if you're out there and you're like, you know what, I'm an adult. I don't have the time to put into these shooters like I used to. And the last thing I want is to be absolutely just destroyed by these teenagers or these kids running around with their omnidirectional movement. I get those fears, I get those anxieties. But if I'm able to hop into Black Ops 6 and have a good time and do decent, then I feel like you can too. I'm not the best, but I do okay. Typically when I'm playing with my friends who are really good, I'm towards the bottom, but I'm not so bad that I'm ruining the enjoyment for everyone. It's really impressive that on my Series X, they have a 120 FPS mode. Sure, I gotta crank down the resolution to 1080p, but when I'm playing multiplayer, I don't really care about that. And honestly, it is spoiling me. I don't know how I played a shooter before at just a regular 60 FPS. I'm becoming a frame rate snob before my I used to be cool with 30 FPS. I played on my Xbox One for so many years that I just gotten used to it. And then at the beginning of this generation, I was like, I can't really tell the difference. Now I'm like 30 FPS. It looks like it's like blinding, at least for a shooter. Speaking of frame rate, we got some great news regarding the Xbox versions of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Xbox has this terrible habit when it comes to their first-party games where like a couple of months before the game releases or right around when previews start happening, they'll go on this diatribe of no. 30 FPS is all you need. 30 FPS is an artistic choice in order to enhance the experience of the game. It's the direction that we wanted to go in. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm quite frankly sick of hearing that, especially after I invested the money into the world's most powerful console, the Xbox Series X. But we don't have to worry about that with Indiana Jones because they're going to have a 60 FPS mode on both the Series X and the S. Yes, you heard that right, on both consoles. Usually when they can get a performance mode going, it's reserved for the Series X, and then on the S, they're like 1440p 30 FPS. Not this time, and thank God we don't have to endure any of those news articles coming out of like, oh, the Series S is doo-doo, Series S is holding Xbox back. Not this time. And that's not the only good news that we have about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, because the preview embargoes are up and people seem to be really liking this game. I saw one negative preview from PC Gamer, I believe, where they were like, it's not really working for me. I'm not really feeling it. But Eurogamer, IGN, GameSpot, they all seem to be pretty optimistic about this game, which I'm super happy to see. I'm excited for Machine Games. Yes, I'm not exactly crazy that they're gonna port this over to PS5, but I've personally been looking forward to this game ever since I started the channel and I heard about it. I've seen a lot of people complain that this game was going to be in first person. I never personally understood that because, I mean, it's Machine Games. Look at the stuff that they've worked on before. Like, do you remember when Redfall was coming out and people were scratching their heads like, why would Arcane Austin, who usually does like shooter sims, why would they do like a live service Borderlands looter shooter? It doesn't make any sense. That's just not what they do. That's not their strong suit. Machine Games is in a perfect position to do what they do best. And part of that is working from the first person point of view. I also see a lot of people saying Indiana Jones, man, Machine Games, they messed up. They should have done it like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, a third-person action-adventure game. And I'm like, why? If you want to play Uncharted, well, I guess you can't because most likely you are an Xbox owner if you're watching this channel. But if you want to play something like Tomb Raider, go and play Tomb Raider. You can totally do that on your Xbox. Why would you force Machine Games into a situation where they have to make a game that they're not used to making? Let them do their thing. Let them cook. Let them put their own twist, their own signature on this franchise versus having to conform to someone else. All of this is adding up to be a pretty solid week for Xbox. There was a lot of negative chatter and doubts about Indiana Jones. There was a lot of negative chatter about Call of Duty, and of course, questions about Xbox's PC strategy, but they seem to be addressing all of those fronts and doing it pretty successfully, at least for now. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.